Hi everyone, something a little bit different this week. I did a presentation at We Do Social Media's social media workouts, and I wanted to share it with you as it's the 4 top tips to instantly create better looking footage for your business. So let's get on with it. Good morning everyone, and welcome to Social Media Workouts. And for this 10-minute education slot this morning, I'm going to give you 4 tips to instantly improve the look of your videos. And this can be used for your Zoom call as well. And it's not about buying lots of extra equipment. There will be a couple of things, but it's mainly about things you can do to improve the look. So the first thing that you can do is you need to think about the angle of your camera to you. I'm not talking about where you place yourself in the frame. Just to briefly touch on that, you want your eyes to be, like if you imagine you split the frame up into thirds, you want your eyes to be on the top third line, and you want yourself to be in the center of the frame as much as possible because that draws people's attention to you. Now, what I'm talking about is the height of the camera to your eyes, because the different heights that you put it at will evoke different emotions in the viewer. So let's look at the first one. The first one is a low angle, and this is really subtle. This is just below my eye line. If it was like a Hollywood film, it might be a bit more pronounced. It might be really low. And what this shows is strength in the person on screen. So you imagine like a superhero film and you've got that low angle shot looking up and they look really big and powerful. But in terms of business videos, if you've got a low angle, it's showing confidence. It's showing that you know what you're talking about. You're a leader. So if you want to project those things, just have your camera slightly lower than your eye line. Moving on to the next one, this is the lens is the same level as your eyes. And this is used to put yourself on the same, literally at the same level as your viewers. You're talking directly to them. They're at the same stage as you. So if you're trying to form more of a connection with your audience and you want to be seen as one of them, you want to put your lens at the same height as your eyes. The last one is a high angle. So you're looking down on someone. And again, if we look at this in terms of a film, it'll be a lot more pronounced. And what this is saying is it's making the person look small. It could be the world's getting on top of them. It could be that they're in a really bad place. They're isolated. So if we're looking at business videos, maybe you're looking to inspire an emotional response from someone. You want someone to feel sorry for you. You can use this angle. Or if you're being really clever, you can combine these angles. So maybe at the start of the video, you're talking about your past and how you used to struggle with something. By the end of the video, you could move to the low angle, and then you're a lot more confident. You're in a better place. You feel a lot more comfortable with where you are now. Moving on, tip number 2, you need to think about your background. And the reason for this is you need to get rid of as many distractions in your video as possible. People need to be focusing on you and not what's going on around you. So rule number 1, don't put up a roller banner behind you, because people are going to be reading that instead of actually paying attention to what you're saying. You'll see behind me, I've got quite a busy background. You know, I've got a plant up there, I've got a camera, I've got some comic books and some books back there. But because of the camera I'm using, it's slightly blurred out, whereas I'm in focus. So it's drawing the attention to me. If you're just using your phone, just make the background as plain as possible. Maybe just like a nicely colored wall with a couple of photos. Again, just making it so you're the center of attention. There are a couple of extra things you can do with your background. So the first one is colored lighting. So you can see behind me, I've got just a couple of LEDs. If I turn these off, it's a lot less interesting. There's not a lot going on. Whereas the color actually helps separate me from what's going on behind me. And there's a good reason for this. If you put all the colors in a wheel, like the color spectrum, you can use the opposites of 2 colors to make a contrast. So skin is naturally fairly orange. The opposite to that is blue. So you will see that I stick out quite well from our background. The other thing you can do is use a bit of lighting. So I've got a main light up here. That could be a window though, but that's lighting my face. That's the main light. I've also got what's called a backlight round here, which is really helping separate me. So if I grab my lighting switch, if I turn this off, you can see I'm starting to fade into the background a little bit more, especially over my shoulder and around here. Turn it back on again, and it's just helping separate me from the background. And the last thing is about making the background slightly darker than you are as well. The backlight helps with that because it brightens you up, but try and maybe sit yourself so that the background isn't getting as much light as you, because again, that's going to help separate you from that background and draw the attention to you. So the third tip is you need to think about the camera that you're using. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy, an expensive camera like that or a DSLR or anything. You can use your phone, and that's actually what I'm talking about. So you've got lots of lenses on a phone nowadays, but the two I'm talking about, the selfie lens on the front and the rear lenses or rear cameras on the back. You should be using the rear cameras and not your selfie camera. And there's a couple of reasons for this. First of all, the selfie camera normally is lower quality than the cameras on the back. If you're spending money on a phone, even if it's a £300, £400 phone, why would you not try and get the best quality out of it that you can? The main reason though is when you're using the selfie camera, you've got your picture on screen next to you, and you're going to be really tempted to just keep looking over and seeing how it looks. And it's not a vanity thing. It's not thinking, oh, check me out. What it is your brain is actually hardwired to pick out faces and movement. So if you keep seeing movement and faces to the side of you, your brain is naturally going to want to look over. And for the viewer, that's really distracting. Imagine I had a monitor there and I kept talking there and then talking there. It's very distracting. It's taken away from what you're saying and make it harder for people to take in your message. So the last tip I want to talk to you about today is using a tripod. And tripods are really cheap now. So I've got this one here. You can get these on Amazon for about £30, £20, £30. And you can extend the legs, make it longer. You can move the head around so you can change the angle and the height and all sorts of things like that. And the reason for using this is, first of all, if you're filming on your phone and you're using a selfie camera, you're naturally going to have jitters in your hand. And that's going to be really shaky and very distracting for your viewer. It's just another reason for someone to keep scrolling and click away because it's not very pleasant to watch. A tripod, you do need to get a phone mount to put it on the top, and stupidly I left it at a client shoot yesterday, so I haven't got that to show you. But once you do that, you can literally clip your phone on top, and that allows you to use your rear cameras like we're talking about before. So you can set your phone up, put it on the tripod, or even your camera, put it on the tripod where you think is going to look good, press record, sit down and do a little test, and then you can see whether you need to move it up, move it down, left, right, and get it looking how you want. So the 4 tips, just to recap, are you need to think about the angle of your lens to your eyes. A low angle shows confidence. The angle straight on with your eyes shows you on the same level as someone, and a higher angle shows weakness and vulnerability. You need to think about the background of your image, make it as simple and as plain as possible to draw people's attention to you and not what's going on around you. You need to use the back cameras rather than the selfie camera on your phone to get better quality and to get rid of all the shakiness and looking across to what's going on your screen. And you need to use a tripod as well, which allow you to use those back cameras and get rid of all that shaky footage and set the shot up how you want. So I hope you found that helpful this morning. But of course, if you got any questions, just unmute yourself and I'll be happy to answer them.
It was interesting because when you were doing your video, you're using your hands a lot, aren't you? You're a typical European. You're like this all the time. So do you think that actually that is quite good when you're videoing yourself? Because I use my hands a lot. Mm-hmm. Or is that distracting? Or is it actually emphasizing your point? Or do you not really know?
It's all to do with you. The power of video is getting your personality across and letting people get to know you. So if you are quite a, relaxed person and you're not using a lot of hand motion, that's fine. And if you did try and use a lot of hand motion, it wouldn't be natural to you and people would pick up on that. Whereas if you are very animated and throwing your arms everywhere, that's fine too. So it's whatever is comfortable with you. The thing with video is, because it's quite hard to get going, any roadblocks that you put in place is going to stop you from getting started. So to get started, just make it as simple as possible. I mean, I was giving you all those tips, but if you do just want to grab your phone and record something on your selfie camera, if that gets you started and moving, then that's absolutely fine.
Also, just one more thing, you talking about the angles, which is a bit confusing. Can you just use the words like higher or lower? Sorry, do you know what I mean? The angles,
so a low angle.
It's visualizing it.
Yeah, so a low angle is your camera is low. It's low to the ground. A high angle is the camera's high up and above you. So
if you're doing it on like I do my videos on my laptop, so that's obviously more difficult to get the right angle.
Put some books or a box underneath it.
I know you've been talking about using phones, but I have spotted some quite good 4K sets on Amazon where you get a camera, lighting and a microphone all together. Have you had an experience of any of those?
Well, it depends on what's included in the kit. I mean, how much does it cost?
They were about £200-300.
Can't imagine it being very good for that. You should, if you're buying a camera, that's a cheap camera on its own, let alone the microphone and the lighting.
Right.
It'll give you 4K. It's one of these things, right? You say 4K, which is a higher resolution, but that doesn't actually mean much. So, for example, my phone shoots in 4K. So does that camera behind me, but the look of them is completely different. So 4K just means that you're getting a certain resolution. It doesn't tell you about the quality of the picture, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You'd be better off. I mean, it might be good to get you started, and then the camera is something you can upgrade later, because £300 for, some lights, a microphone and a camera, that's probably good enough to get you started. Because otherwise you're looking at paying £400 or £500 up for just the camera.
Okay.
Again, it's whatever's going to get you started and get you going is the main thing.
You talked about using real backgrounds. If one wants to green screen it, is there software that will do green screen on the fly?
Not really. Zoom's the only one that really does that. Of course, You could record. If it depends on what camera you get, you can plug your camera into your computer and use it as a webcam, which is what I'm doing with my one now. So if you did that and then put that through Zoom, then you could record the Zoom call with the green screen background.
Okay.
But apart from that, you're going to have to do some editing.
Just a quick question. I had one for you. When you were saying about you're shooting in different resolutions, obviously I know Facebook, they obviously did something when you post a video, it was quite blurry for the first few seconds and then it sort of filtered through to being quite a good quality video.
Right. Yeah.
Is there any sort of hints and tips as to the best resolution or shooting resolution? I don't know all the terminology. Is there any hints or tips as to which platform is good for which resolution, or if that makes any sense?
Yeah. Basically, you want to give the platform the highest quality that you can. So when you're sending it from your phone, always pick like high or best or whatever, and then the platforms will then change it into their own format anyway. The blurriness that you were talking about at the beginning sounds more like the video playing catch up with your internet speed. So as it starts off and it's saying, all right, I've got low internet speed, so I'm going to give you a blurry image. And then as it catches up, it then makes it more clear. Like you might have seen it on Netflix. If you start watching something, it might look worse quality. And as it goes on, it gets better because it's like building up a bank of that information. But yeah, just always upload the best quality you can, and then the platforms sort it out for you and give you their best quality.
So Dave, you said you should have a plain background.
No, yours is all right.
I was like, you could not have any more, as my other half says, tut, in the background if I tried.
Yeah. What you've got is nice. You could maybe pare it down a little bit and have just one or two items on each shelf. Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, I don't need that kind of negativity in my life.
Just be you, Ali. Just be you.
Yeah, I did. That was really interesting about the camera angles, because I'm always just like, I'm 47, that camera's going up. Yeah. Now I'm like, not very authoritative. We might just, and also my nose turns up. So, there is like some technical stuff going on there. So
well, that's it. I mean, like, because you got to think you probably want to be on the same level as the people you're talking to, don't you? Because you want to identify with them. So yeah, moving it down slightly. And that's the thing, like everyone thinks, oh, I want my skin to look great. I'm going to move my camera up so my chin comes up and looks really nice. But there's the opposite side of that, where you're making yourself look very small and vulnerable. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And make sure you give this video a like, as it helps us reach more people and help them just like you. If you'd like some tips on using video on social media, check out this interview with Elle Cloak from We Do Social Media here. If you want more videos on improving the look of your content, watch this playlist here and click here to subscribe to catch our weekly content all about growing your business using video marketing.